Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted the focus of this video to be on one specific industry sector that is consumer packaged goods, otherwise known as CPG. One of the lead growing industries, not only here in Alberta, but across Canada. The focal point of this video is going to go over the go-to-market strategy. As a company that is based in Alberta or across Canada, one of your kind of stepping stone to expanding your business is going to look at potentially other provinces across Canada, but also our neighbor down south, the US, and further to that, Europe, Asia, etc. Canadian products are greatly appreciated overseas because as a country, we're known to produce, products that are safe, sound, and full of nutrients, and because also of our very well-known stringent regulatory process when it comes to the food industry. You've probably heard for higher risk commodities such as meats, seafood, etc. Our products are very well received internationally and at a premium price. For today's video, I wanted to use a product that is low risk just for the purposes of this video and kind of walk you through the steps that we would look at if we were helping a client export their product. So the product today is going to be peanut butter. We're looking at a peanut butter product that has such claims as nutritional, all natural, no sugar added, that is gluten-free, vegan, fair trade, and made out of premium peanuts, for example. So let's start at the beginning. So you are a business, you're based out of, in this case, Alberta. You could be based out of Ontario, it doesn't matter. We're gonna look at the progression of the scaling of your business. So you are an Alberta-based company right now, and you've already started selling in small retail spaces and whatnot. So in order to have achieved that, you should have already achieved CFIA compliance. So either your facility got inspected or you had to submit some documentation to CFIA. The great thing with peanut butter is that it ranks really low on the risk assessment that is governed by CFIA, our Canadian Food Inspection Agency. So you've gone through that process. You potentially have already completed your SFCR guidelines, and you've potentially fulfilled your PCP plan under CFIA, and you're looking now at your HACCP plan, which is going to open up other markets for you. So mainly across Canada, but also larger grocers. Yes, typically larger grocers such as Sobeys, Safeway, Metro in Quebec, they're gonna look for ways to mitigate their liability as a reseller. And so in order to do that, and even distributors actually, if you're looking for a distributor to represent you, having your documentation to sort of make you easier to sell is really gonna be helpful for them, because they want to be able to make sure they are recommending manufacturers that have sound processes and kind of where food safety is a priority. So we take you from your SFCR plan to your PCP plan to now you're in that process of your HACCP plan. Earlier on in this video, I talked about the claims that this product was going to make, right? That it's all natural, sugar-free, vegan, gluten-free, etc. I talked about paperwork being kind of the base foundation of your go-to-market strategy. Why is that? Well, under CFIA, in order to be able to make any claim, and that's going to be valid also for every other level of certificates or certification you're going to want to carry, you're going to need to have that documentation that supports the claims you're trying to make. So if you're saying that your product is gluten-free, you can't just make that claim by saying, well, we only have peanuts in our product, it's a no-brainer, it's gluten-free. Not at all. Making a claim such as gluten-free, and you can only think of the potential repercussion of that, just thinking about someone who's celiac, someone who has a really high level of intolerance to gluten, could really have health complications after potentially eating a product that was cross-contaminated. Truth of the matter is that because of how commodities move these days, travel, transportation, whatnot, we have no idea of the level of cross-contamination that some of these products can go through or can encounter along the supply chain. So any kind of claim you're going to make, whether it's a minor claim such as fair trade, and by minor I mean no real health implications, but it's still nonetheless a claim. So being able to have the certificates and the documentation from the supplier, the vendor that's actually provided those goods to you is going to be critical. And as we go through, by the way, this kind of video, you'll see why this matters for your ultimate goal and your go-to-market strategy. So paperwork, can't say it enough, paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. Before you start designing and going crazy with your branding, which is the most probably exciting part for most business owners, look at the label requirements. In Canada, if you're selling in English-speaking provinces, you're good to go with only the English version or translation of the label, which in your case would not be a translation. But what I'm saying is, in a country where we have 2 official languages across Canada, with the exception of Quebec, there's no restriction to, or there's no requirement to having the French language added in a mandatory way. Now, that being said, if you're looking to also extend your product to the Quebec market, which is a great market and a large market for that, then you have to follow the French chart that governs everything around business, whether it's, how information is displayed in hospitals, in public transport, on goods, retail goods, and whatnot. So beyond that, you've kind of looked at the paperwork and the label attached to that. And keep in mind as well that if you're looking to go to the US, expand to the US, the label, the nutritional label for the US, not only is it mandatory, but it has slightly different font sizes, and the display as well is a bit different. Yes, I know we talked about font sizes. If you're looking to build your nutritional form, I would strongly recommend visiting the CFIA website, as they have templates and they can actually that spell out how many millimeters, how many, what size of fonts are required for different guidelines. So paperwork, labels. Okay, great. You've got your paperwork, you've got over your label, you know exactly what needs to be put on your label from a perspective of market. Now we're talking about supporting those claims if, let's say, you don't have the paperwork to support them. Well, the key here is to figure out what type of claims you're looking to make. If you're looking to make, for example, an organic claim, well, there is a stipulation that X amount of percentage of the goods, the raw materials, need to have been certified organic. If they haven't, and you're going through that process yourself because you decide to build a peanut farm in South America or Central America, well, then you have to involve the organization that provides that certification. You don't have to go straight to them because they've partnered with a lot of different clusters of organizations that are located a bit everywhere worldwide. But to keep in mind is that if you don't have the certification and if your supplier or vendor doesn't have the documentation to back it up, then you're going to be on your own to be able to support sort of those claims, whether it's through testing. And if you're going to go through testing, I would strongly recommend not deviating from an ISO 17025 lab. What does that mean? An ISO 17025 certification essentially tells you that a lab's results are recognized internationally in accordance to international standards, which is a great thing because it means that wherever you'll want to expand your business, the data you're collecting through an ISO 025 certified lab or accredited lab is going to be valid. So please don't shy away. The cost between a non-ISO and an ISO lab is minimal, so it's really worth your while to invest at that stage to make sure that your information can be utilized internationally and recognized internationally. So we talked about the paperwork, we talked about the label, we talked about if within the paperwork you don't have the paperwork supporting the claims you're trying to make, going out of our way to actually seek the organizations and get certified directly through them if that is a possibility. The last step, which is a critical step really, is going to be sort of your regulatory binder. We call it regulatory binder, but really it's a process binder. And that binder, the great thing is once you've actually filled it up and put it together, can serve as an employee onboarding document as well. So that binder is going to include your process as it says it. And the reason why it's an important part of sort of your go-to-market strategy is that process is going to be spelled out in so many different requirements, regulatory requirements. CFIA is going to require that as part of their SFCR plan, their PCP plan. Once you're going to go and move forward to getting your HACCP plan, you're going to see that your process binder again is going to be going to come in quite handy in helping you fill your HACCP plan. Once you're going to go through the US, and let's say because you're adding certain raw materials within your peanut butter, you're having to now abide by a certificate under FDA, which would be, for example, an SQF certification, well, you're going to find that that binder is going to help you support that application as well, and et cetera, as you move internationally. So in summary, if you happen to have a product that is low risk, such as peanut butter, for example, and you have claims that you're wanting to make, whether it means that it's nutritional or that it is all natural, or as we talked about, gluten-free, non-GMO, fair trade, etc., make sure you have your paperwork handy. Your labels need to be adapted to the different jurisdictions that you're going to go into, mainly one for your Anglophone Canada. If you're looking to get into Quebec, having a label that is either bilingual or maybe a peel-off label where English on one end, French on the other end. That being said, if you're going to Quebec, you're going to have a French on the outside and the English on the inside. If you're looking to go into the US, the nutritional table varies a little bit from our Canadian standards, so that's a consideration. And obviously, if you're going internationally in countries that don't have an official language that is English or French, having to translate it according to their guidelines. And then lastly, your certificates, so proof of paperwork, as we talked about before. If you don't, let's say if the claims you're trying to make are not supported by your current vendors, ensuring that you go and seek a testing lab that is 17025 accredited. And lastly, the accumulation of all those documents, along with documenting your day-to-day process for your production, manufacturing, packaging, shipping, procurement, all of that good stuff in one place. And that's going to be such a handy tool for you to then be able to grow your business, expand your business, and go to market. I hope this was enlightening. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Otherwise, see you soon.